Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something that, on the surface, might seem kind of simple. Starting a shapewear business. But trust me, we've been digging into the research, and this market is way more fascinating and robust than you might think.
Yeah, it's really
So
interesting.
we've got this guide from SBK.
Okay.
It's called How to Start a Shapewear Business, a comprehensive guide. And it's basically a step-by-step walkthrough of everything involved.
Yeah.
What we want to do today is pull out the juiciest bits, the most important insights for you, whether you're just curious about this business or maybe even thinking about starting one yourself. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when you first hear shapewear business, it sounds, pretty niche. But what we want to show you today is that it's actually a dynamic, growing area. And this guide gives us like a really great framework to break down the key elements.
Yeah.
So whether you're looking for ideas or just like understanding how different markets work, you're going to learn a lot today.
Okay, so let's jump right in. You might think of shapewear as just a small corner of the fashion world, but the numbers tell a completely different story.
Right.
What's the real scope of this market? What should make us pay attention?
Well, the global shapewear market, according to the Datum Intelligence report that's mentioned in this guide, is projected to grow at a CGR, that's a compound annual growth rate, of 8% from 2024 to 2031.
Wow,
Yeah. So that's huge.
that's pretty significant.
Yeah, it is. And what's interesting for you is that this isn't just a fad. This is pretty consistent demand. People want to feel comfortable. They want to feel confident. So it suggests a really strong long-term market.
Yeah, definitely. So with that kind of growth, you got to wonder what's driving it, right?
Right.
What are the factors pushing this expansion?
Well, the guide points to a few. One is the kind of constant emphasis on appearance, like physical appearance. People are more fashion conscious. And also, the e-commerce boom plays a huge role. It's just made this kind of specialized product way more accessible no matter where you are.
Yeah, makes sense. Online shopping has really changed the game.
It really has.
So if you're thinking about starting a business in this area, who would you be targeting as your ideal customer?
Well, the market segmentation is actually quite detailed. They break it down by first by the type of garment, bodysuits, camisoles, briefs, waist cinchers, all that. And then also the body area it targets, abdomen, waist, thighs, etc. Currently, the female segment is the biggest in terms of revenue.
Okay.
But the guide points out something really interesting, which is that the online channels are expected to grow hugely. Like right now, physical stores lead, but online is catching up fast.
Oh, interesting. So even though you still see shapewear in regular stores, it sounds like the real future growth is online.
Yeah, I think so.
What about geographically? Is the demand global, or are there certain regions you should be paying attention to?
It is global, yeah.
Mhm.
So North America has a big share, and it's predicted to keep growing. Europe's another big one, with Germany being the largest single market and the UK growing super fast. But what's really interesting for you is the Asia-Pacific region, especially China and India.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're seeing really rapid growth. A lot of that is because of the advances in fabric technology they have there and just a ton of new businesses entering the market.
Oh, wow.
So it really is a worldwide demand.
Yeah, that paints a really global picture.
Yeah.
Now, in any industry, it helps to know who the big players are. Who are the major names in shapewear that you might recognize?
So the guide mentions some you'll definitely know: Spanx, Victoria's Secret, Triumph International, and of course the newer ones like Skims and Hanes brands.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's interesting for you is that even these established companies are like pouring money into R&D, research and development, and forming partnerships. That tells you that even though it's a mature market, they're still innovating like crazy. It's a very competitive space.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the market opportunity is definitely there.
Yeah.
But let's say someone listening is thinking, okay, I want to do this. I want to start a shapewear business. Where do you even begin? What are the absolute first steps?
Well, the guide is really clear that it all starts with thorough market research.
Okay.
And this isn't just like winging it. It's about really understanding your customer, who they are, what they need, who your competitors are. And they even talk about using keyword research tools.
Keyword research for shapewear. I mean, that sounds more like online marketing than, traditional business planning.
It does. But because so much of this business, as we've been saying, is going to be online for you, you need to understand what people are actually searching for.
Right.
Like best shapewear for tummy control or comfortable shapewear for everyday wear. It's crucial because it's going to inform how you get found online.
Oh, okay. That's really smart.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
So the guide also has this section on do's and don'ts for anyone starting out. What are some of the biggest do's to keep in mind?
So the do's really stress finding your niche. So for you, it might be shapewear for, post-surgical recovery or shapewear that's super inclusive of all body types.
Right.
They also say it's really important to analyze how your competitors are marketing themselves. You need to find reliable suppliers.
Of course.
You got to choose the right e-commerce platform, and leverage social media.
Right.
And crucially, they say you've got to do SEO, search engine optimization for your website so people can find you online.
Yeah.
And they say you need a solid business plan, like a really well thought out business plan that makes size inclusivity a priority.
Size inclusivity. Yeah, that seems absolutely crucial today.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, the guide also has some don'ts you should pay attention to.
Yep.
So they say never compromise on product quality, like ever, because that's going to determine your reputation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They also say don't underestimate your finances, don't neglect ongoing market research even after you launch, and don't overlook branding. They talk about branding your shapewear in a body positive way,
Right.
moving beyond just the functional aspects.
I like that.
Yeah. And some other don'ts are don't delay setting up good customer service,
Yeah.
don't resist adapting to the market, and don't be afraid to innovate with your products.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really good lessons, even beyond shapewear.
Yeah, absolutely. Good advice for any business. So let's get into the more practical stuff. Let's say you want to produce your own shapewear. What equipment do you need, and what kind of investment should you be prepared for?
Well, the guide gives a list, but it really depends on how big you're going. If you're doing the actual garment production, you're looking at industrial sewing machines, which, they can be a few $100 or a few thousand. You'll need cutting tables, steamers, fabric cutting tools, mannequins for fitting and display. Then there's measuring tools, irons, packaging, even a label maker.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, the website, the online store. That can be anywhere from a couple hundred to several $1,000s.
So even before you've sold anything, there's a decent amount of money you need to spend.
Definitely.
Okay. So beyond that, what about the legal stuff?
Mm-hmm.
What licenses and permits do you need to operate a shapewear business legally?
Yeah, the legal side, it's so important.
Right.
The guide breaks it down by federal, state, and local levels.
Okay.
Federally, there aren't really specific licenses for selling clothing, but if you're importing your shapewear, you'll need import permits and all that.
Yeah.
The SBA, the Small Business Administration, can help with those federal things.
Got it. And what about at the state and local level? That's where things can get kind of tricky.
Yeah, for sure. So registering your business is essential,
Yeah.
especially if you're a corporation, nonprofit, or a partnership.
Okay.
Even if you're just a sole proprietor, you might still need local licenses. And if you're using a different name for your business, you'll need a DBA, a doing business as permit.
Right. Right.
It can get kind of complicated.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So the guide lists some essential licenses that most businesses would need.
Uh-huh.
Can you walk us through those?
Yeah, so there's the basic business operation license, usually at the city or county level.
Okay.
Then the EIN, the Federal Employer Identification Number. You'll need that for taxes with the IRS.
Okay.
The DBA, we talked about that if you're using a different business name.
Right.
Zoning and land use permits, super important if you're working from home.
Makes sense.
Also, health department permits.
Really?
Yeah, you might need those if you do any food events or, branch out into food products.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to consider. And lastly, a sales tax license. You'll almost definitely need that for selling tangible goods.
Wow, there's a lot to keep track of.
There is. It's easy to overlook.
Yeah. What if you're primarily operating online or from home? Are there any specific licensing things to consider there?
Yeah, so for online stores, you still need to be compliant with the state where your business is officially operating.
Okay.
And that includes collecting sales tax correctly. If you're running your business from home, you need to check those home-based business licenses, especially zoning.
Right, because of residential areas.
Exactly. And the guide gives this really good piece of advice, which is to talk to a business lawyer.
Yeah.
Someone who can give you specific advice for your situation and location.
That's always smart. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the actual product, the shapewear. The guide really emphasizes quality.
Uh-huh.
Why is that so crucial?
It all comes down to reputation. If your shapewear is uncomfortable, if it doesn't work, or if it falls apart, people aren't going to buy from you again. And they'll leave bad reviews, which can really hurt you. The guide goes into detail about sourcing materials,
Okay.
and they stress not just quality and durability, but also comfort, breathability, and increasingly sustainability.
Sustainability in shapewear. That's not something you automatically think about.
No, you don't. But customers are really starting to care about the environmental impact of what they buy.
Makes sense.
So if you can find eco-friendly materials, that's a big plus. The guide lists some of the common materials like nylon, spandex, which is also called elastane or lycra,
Okay.
and they talk about cotton blends and microfiber, and they explain how each one performs, like how stretchy they are, how breathable.
So how would you go about actually finding and choosing these materials for your shapewear? What are the steps?
So first, you got to know exactly what you need the fabric to do, like what are the performance characteristics.
Okay.
Then you got to research suppliers who specialize in those kinds of fabrics, and always, always get samples. Test them out, make sure the quality is there, the stretch, the durability before you buy in bulk. If sustainability is important, you got to look for suppliers with recycled or eco-friendly options. And finally, negotiate the pricing and minimum order quantities.
Right?
That's important for your budget.
Where would you even find these suppliers? It's not like you can just go to the fabric store, right?
No, not really. The guide suggests industry trade shows, events where you can actually meet manufacturers and suppliers.
Okay.
Um, Online marketplaces like Alibaba, Global Sources, Thomas Net.
Yeah.
Those are good for initial research and quotes.
Okay.
You can check industry associations for textiles and apparel. They often have supplier directories.
Makes sense.
And networking is huge. Talk to other businesses, online forums, industry events. They might know some good suppliers.
Yeah. It's all about who you know.
Exactly.
Okay. So you've got your materials. Now, the design phase,
Yeah.
it's not just about making something tight. Right?
Oh, no, it's got to be functional and fashionable. The guide is really clear about that. You need to do your research, see what's selling well, and see if there are any needs that aren't being met.
Right.
They suggest looking at popular styles like high-waisted shapers, seamless bodysuits, shaping shorts, waist trainers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also smart to think about seasonal trends,
Okay.
maybe bridal shapewear or athletic shapewear.
Yeah. And of course, size inclusivity is key.
Absolutely. You need to offer a wide range of sizes.
Okay.
Plus sizes, petites, tall sizes. They also recommend offering different levels of compression,
Oh, that makes sense.
from light smoothing to firm control. Then, design-wise, you need things like four-way stretch, moisture-wicking material, adjustable straps, easy closures.
Right.
But also, you got to make it look good, lace accents, seamless finishes, that kind of thing.
So it's a blend of engineering and aesthetics.
It is. It's a really interesting challenge.
Okay, so the designs are done. Now you need someone to actually make the shapewear. What should you be thinking about when choosing a manufacturer?
Finding a manufacturer that specializes in shapewear, activewear, that kind of thing, that's crucial.
Oh, okay.
Ask about their experience.
Wow.
Get references. Ask about prototypes. If
Yeah.
you can, visit the factory yourself.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
It's the best way to see their capabilities and how they handle quality control.
Okay. And what about those minimum order quantities, the MOQs? Those can be tough for new businesses, right?
Yeah, they can be. Basically, factories often have a minimum order amount to make it worth their while.
Yeah.
It's often around 2,000 units for simple styles and maybe 5,000 or more to get a better price per item.
Wow.
The guide's advice is start with a few core styles, neutral colors, the versatile ones.
Yeah.
Maybe smaller batches for trendier items or wider size ranges, just to test the waters before you commit to huge numbers.
Yeah, that's a smart strategy.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the product, the design, the manufacturing. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty,
Okay.
the money. What are the key financial considerations when you're starting a shapewear business?
The guide breaks it down into startup expenses and assets.
Okay.
Startup expenses are things like legal fees, logo design, maybe office space. Assets are your cash on hand, any equipment you buy, and your inventory.
Right.
You need to estimate those costs really carefully to figure out how much money you'll need up front.
Yeah, makes sense.
It really depends whether you're online only or if you're going to have a physical store as well.
Right.
But for most businesses, the biggest initial cost is going to be your product costs.
Okay.
So that's raw materials, manufacturing, shipping, and maybe storage costs if you're holding a lot of inventory.
Got it. The guide mentions that even for a small online operation, you should probably have at least $1,000 worth of inventory to start.
Yeah, that's like the bare minimum, just to be able to fulfill those first orders.
Okay, so $1,000 is a very, very basic start.
Right. But they do go on to say that for a full shapewear line with lots of styles and sizes, you're looking at like $50,000 to $500,000 or even more.
Well,
Yeah, it depends how big you're thinking. They compare it to like an online greeting card company.
okay.
In their example, that was around $20,000 to get going.
Got it.
So the $1,000 figure is really just for a super basic test the waters approach.
Right. So once you have your shapewear ready, how do you figure out the right price to sell it at?
Hmm.
To make sure you're actually making money.
The shapewear market, because it has such a range of customers, allows for different pricing strategies.
Okay.
The guide says a lot of brands are in the $20 to $60 range.
Okay.
Premium brands maybe $60 to $200 or even more.
Yeah, makes sense.
It all depends on your brand. Are you luxury? Do you have unique features? But you got to make sure you're covering your costs.
Right, of course.
They mention different pricing methods like value-based, cost-plus, competitive pricing, even dynamic pricing.
That's a lot to consider. And how do you usually fund this whole thing, this initial investment? It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. The guide talks about a few options. There's self-funding if you've got savings.
Yeah.
Business loans from banks or other lenders.
Yeah.
There's getting investment from individuals or venture capitalists.
Right.
And there might even be grants for small businesses. You've got to have a really solid business plan, though, especially if you're going for loans or investors.
Yeah, of course. You got to show if you've thought it through.
Yeah.
And what about insurance?
Super important.
Yeah.
You got to protect yourself.
Right.
The guide talks about general liability insurance, product liability insurance, especially important for something like shapewear,
Of course. Yeah.
and workers' comp insurance if you have employees. It all depends on your business, but insurance is a must. They also mention financial management,
Okay.
like maybe outsource bookkeeping and accounting, especially at the beginning, and be aware of VAT, that's value-added tax, if you hit a certain revenue level.
Okay. That's all really good to know. So let's say you've got the product, the finances, you're legal.
Yeah.
How do you actually reach customers?
Right.
It sounds like building a strong online presence is absolutely crucial.
It really is. In today's market, if you're a new shapewear business, your online presence is everything.
Okay.
The guide talks about having a website that's SEO optimized.
Okay. And remind me, what does SEO mean again?
SEO is search engine optimization. It's about making sure your website appears high up in search results when people are looking for shapewear.
Right. Right.
So it needs to be user-friendly, mobile responsive. It's got to look good on phones and tablets.
Okay.
And you need to use keywords in your content, your meta titles, your descriptions, all that technical stuff.
Yeah. All the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it's what helps people find you. They also suggest writing blog posts about shapewear. It helps with SEO and establishes you as an expert.
Okay. So it's not just about having a website. It's about making sure people can actually find it.
Exactly. You could have the most beautiful website in the world, but if no one can find it, it's useless.
Right.
And then, of course, there are the costs of the domain name and hosting
Yeah. Yeah.
and setting up payment processing.
Of course, things like PayPal, Stripe.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think about those transaction fees.
Okay. So once you have your online store, how do you actually get people to come to it?
Well, the guide talks about marketing.
Okay.
They suggest a mix of different strategies. Social media is huge, obviously.
Right.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
You got to showcase your products, maybe share customer testimonials, before and after photos, all that.
Yeah.
You could work with influencers, too. They can really get the word out. And then there's email marketing. Keep people updated on new products, sales, that kind of thing. You can really personalize those email campaigns.
Right. Right.
Then there's paid advertising, like on Google Ads or social media, where you can target specific demographics and interests.
Yeah.
And then content marketing.
Content marketing.
Yeah. So that's creating really valuable content, blog posts, how-to guides, things that address people's needs and show off your expertise.
So it's a mix of getting found organically and then also actively advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What about getting the shapewear to the customers after they've ordered it?
Right.
The fulfillment process.
That's a really important part.
Right. It can make or break the customer experience.
Totally. The guide stresses having a good fulfillment system, making sure customers get their orders quickly and in good shape.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, you might handle it all yourself.
Right.
But as you grow, you'll probably want to use a third-party fulfillment service.
Okay.
They can store your inventory, pack orders, ship everything out. They make things so much easier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guide also reminds you to think about keywords on your product pages and your FAQs.
Okay.
Things like shipping costs, return policies, sizing info.
Yeah.
That's what people are looking for.
Okay. Yeah, there are so many pieces to the puzzle of an online business.
It can get overwhelming.
What kind of software or tools does the guide recommend for managing all of it?
Well, first you need an e-commerce platform like Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce.
Okay.
That's the foundation of your online store.
Right.
Then there's CRM, customer relationship management software like Salesforce or HubSpot
Okay.
that helps you manage customer interactions.
Yeah.
For emails and marketing, there's MailChimp, Constant Contact.
Good.
For social media, there are tools like Hootsuite or Buffer.
Right.
And for SEO, there's Google Analytics, SEMrush, Moz.
Okay.
Then you've got payment processing software like PayPal, Stripe, Square,
Yeah.
accounting software like QuickBooks or FreshBooks.
Okay.
And for inventory, there are tools like Zoho Inventory or Inventory Lab.
Wow, that's a lot of software.
It is. But it's kind of amazing how much tech goes into even a basic online business today.
Yeah, it's a whole other world. Now, customer service, that's got to be huge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with shapewear, where fit and comfort are so personal.
Okay.
The guide says good customer service is what makes you stand out. You got to be responsive, knowledgeable. You got to listen to customers. They recommend things like live chat, personalized emails. You want every customer to feel valued.
Right. That's key for building loyalty.
Totally. And don't underestimate those good reviews. They can really boost your search rankings.
Interesting. So it all connects.
It does.
Okay, so last thing. The guide talks about continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure your shapewear business stays successful in the long run?
The guide stresses the importance of analyzing your business and adapting. Like, use web analytics tools like Google Analytics to track how your website's doing.
Okay.
You need to get feedback from customers, analyze your sales, see what's working, see what's not,
Right.
see how you compare to your competitors, and always look for ways to innovate, to improve your website, your customer service, your marketing. It's a constant process.
This is really about constantly learning and evolving.
Yeah. You can't just set it and forget it.
Right.
You got to be adaptable.
Well, this has been a really fascinating look into the world of shapewear. It's clearly way more than just a simple business idea.
It is.
There's a lot of opportunity, but you have to have a solid plan.
Right.
You need to understand the market, the legal stuff, how to find good suppliers, how to build an online presence, how to keep your customers happy.
It's a lot, but it's a great example of how even a specific product like shapewear actually teaches you a lot of general business skills.
Yeah. you're saying-
Manufacturing, logistics, digital marketing, customer management, it's all there. It shows how important planning and execution are.
Definitely. It's really impressive how much depth there is to this market. And it makes you think, what other niche markets are out there just waiting for someone to come in with a good idea and a solid approach?
Yeah. It really encourages you to think outside the box, look beyond the everyday products, see where the unmet needs are, maybe in an area you've never even considered.
That's a great point. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with me. Until next time.
My pleasure.
See ya.